Illustration 314 by William Blake, called Ode to Adversity. This is from the poems of Thomas Gray, 1797-98. It's pen, ink, and watercolor on paper. It was commissioned by Henry Fuseli as a present to his wife. And here in the illustrations we see the terrifying image of the three Gorgon sisters, Gorgon, Medusa, Seno, and Uriel, from ancient Greek mythology of around 1000 to 700 BCE. In this particular illustration, we see a sense of struggle, exaggerated expressions, and feelings of dread that recall romanticism, which we talked about last time in class. In fact, in this particular poem, the Ode to Adversity, that we see printed on the illustration, and I want to read it to you because you can see this sense of struggle and dread. Wisdom in fable garb arrayed, immersed in rapturous thoughts profound, and melancholy silent maid, with leaden eyes that loves the ground, still on thy solemn step attend, warm charity the general friend. With justice to her severe, and pity dropping soft the sadly pleasing tear, oh, gently up on thy suppliant head, dread goddess, lay thy chastening hand, not in thy Gorgon terrors clad, nor circled with the vengeful band. With thundering voice and threatening mien, with screaming horrors, funeral cry, despair, and foul disease, and ghastly poverty. So you can see it's a very powerful poem. This next work, illustration 315, William Blake, The Spiritual Form of Pit Guarding Behemoth, from about 1805. Its tempera heightened with gold on canvas, 29 by 25 inches. It's in the Tate Gallery in London. So in this particular case, tempera, which is pigments and carpenter's glue, is painted on a gesso ground on copper plate. Here it's heightened with gold. Initially, this was shown in a private exhibition in William Blake's brother's house in around 1809. William Pitt, P-I-T-T, the younger, the British Prime Minister from 1783 to 1806, appears in a vision. He is clad in gown, and his head is surrounded by a halo, as if he's a saint or angel. The youthful Pitt actually died at 47 years old. He holds a rein that controls the biblical figure Behemoth, B-E-H-E-M-O-T-H, the powers unleashed by Pitt against the French. He said in the catalogue that he was inspired by a vision in which he saw, quote, ancient paintings and sculptures on the walls of temples, towers, cities, and palaces erected in the highly cultivated states of Egypt, Moab, M-O-A-B, Edom, E-D-O-M, Aram, A-R-A-M, among the rivers of paradise. End of quote. So these are places in the Bible that are talked about. And in this particular work, again, you can see this world of splendor and fantasy, and just the epic scale and proportions of these figures, and this strong allegory. The sea is a source often of sublime imagery because of its vastness. And here, this particular work is dedicated to English dominance at sea, the English Navy. This next painting, illustration 321, is by George Romney, R-O-M-N-E-Y. It's called Portrait of Lady Rodbard, R-O-D-B-A-R-D, from 1786. It's oil on canvas, 7 feet by 4 feet 8 inches. It's a really large painting. Illustration 3-21 by George Romney. This is Portrait of Lady Rodbard from 1786. Oil on canvas. It's a large painting measuring 7 feet by 4 feet 8.5 inches. Romney was considered the most fashionable portrait painter of his day, and known for his casual poses and restrained color, which appealed to upper-class clientele who did not want to appear to be trying too hard in their posing of their portraits. He was contrasted to the formality and intellectual pretensions of Sir Joshua Reynolds, his great rival when he was painting at his peak. Rothbard was not titled, but she traveled among the important circles. She was 19 years old when painted. These portraits, like those of Thomas Gainsborough of the time, show her capacity for feeling great compassion and sympathy, which the English called sensibility at the time. And, of course, this was well cultivated by the wealthy classes, to show her here having a conscience, being a lover of animals and nature, and yet looking up past her on a diagonal view toward the trees and the sky above. The fluid paint was also helped to reinforce the sense of ease and elegance in the pose of the sitter. This is illustration 3-22, Joseph Wright of Derby, portrait of Sir Richard Arkwright from 1790. It's oil on canvas, again a large portrait, 7 feet 11 inches by 5 feet. Arkwright, by 1790, had secured the legal rights to his inventions. He had been knighted, and also he held the office of High Sheriff of Derbyshire. Unlike some of his earlier portraits by Wright, he gazes away in this one into the distance. It is a triumphant image with red drapery and classical columns. He had set up a factory at Cromford in Derbyshire, near the river, that ran 23 hours a day and included children among the several hundred workers. The Derby Museum and the Arkwright Society petitioned and worked hard to keep the painting from being moved to the United States. Arkwright was a Lancashire barber who became a textile industrialist. Here we see cotton spinning rollers that are situated on the table. Spinning and carding machines, turning raw cotton into thread. These were among his great inventions. He's in his office, interrupted from work, apparently to pose for this portrait. He's diligent and genius, and most of these industrialists came from the Midlands, Middle England, not London. They were men of practical experience and little formal education. He was the youngest of 13 children of a poor family.